What's going on, everybody? Tom here with Black Sheep Keto, and welcome to this week's video for the Rebuild and Refocus series. Now, as the name suggests, I am basically having to start over due to being out of the gym for 5 months from the COVID pandemic, and I think a lot of people out there are going to be going through the same thing. Now, I gotta say, just right off the bat, this week was hard. And I think I never realized that it was going to be this challenging to kind of refocus and get back on my goals and get back on my training regimen because I've been doing it for, 4 or 5 years now. I have a good idea of what I need to do in the gym, and it's just been habit, right? I built that habit years ago, and I've just been following that habit of going to the gym 5 days a week, eating well, whatever. And though I did eat well through the pandemic, I couldn't go to a gym. And getting back in there now was a real pain, honestly. I had to convince myself every single day to get out there. It was so easy to not. And, I really sympathize with people that are just now starting out and are finding that same struggle. Or maybe you're like me, where you've been doing this for a long time, and since government restrictions stopped you from exercising and trying to stay healthy, you couldn't do it. And now you're trying to get back at it, and it's a challenge. So I do sympathize with that, and it was not easy. I will say that right off the bat. But there was good news this week. My book, Ketogenic Diet for Two, did come out yesterday as of filming this, and I am very relieved that that is out because there's no more stress. I mean, it is a little stressful and nerve-wracking to know that people are going to be out there reading it and trying my recipes, but the actual stress of the process is done. There's nothing else I can do. It is out there, it is ready for the world, and that is completely finished, which is really cool. Now, if you guys haven't got a copy yet, I will put a link. It is the first link in the description to buy the book. Also, if you have already got a copy and you want to leave me a review, that does help me out quite a bit on Amazon, just as another note. But I promise I'm going to stop talking about it here very, very shortly. I just, big excitement in my life, wanted to share that with you. In any case, why don't we get some food made, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the struggles I went through this week and catch another workout in. Now, honestly, I was walking through the grocery store and I came across these lamb shanks that were on sale. I've got no idea what I'm going to do with them, but I'm just going to post up a camera like in front of me or something, and I don't know, like reach around like, what's that movie, Hardcore Henry or whatever, and make some food, and we'll see what it turns out like. So let's get that done, and then I'll catch up with you before I go work out. So those lamb shanks kind of have a bit of a Middle Eastern inspiration. I've had lamb shanks at different Middle Eastern restaurants before, so that's kind of where I took the inspiration from. And they smell fantastic going into that crock pot. I'm probably gonna give them 2 or 3 hours, and they should be nice and tender, so dinner will be ready probably around 7. Now, I do have to catch a workout today, and it is going to be a chest day, so maybe while I'm just kind of talking about everything that I'm going through and the struggles that I've run into this week, I'll go ahead and just run some clips on the screen. Now, to start things off, I have not weighed myself this week, and I told myself I was not going to. As much as I'm an advocate of weighing yourself every day and using a smart scale that tracks it and apps and various things like that, I knew that just getting back into it, it wasn't going to be good for me mentally to see that weight just constantly ticking up because I have been on a cut. But I do take creatine when I'm working out, and that does cause water retention in the muscles, various things like that. So I knew my weight was going to go up this week, and I also knew that I wasn't going to have the same kind of strength expectations that I had before the pandemic. So I feel like there were too many things that would have kind of driven me down that I was like, you know what, we're just going to ignore the weight. We're going to let what happens happens. I'm going to still kind of like, eat normally, eat my keto food. But as my muscles kind of get their swole back, if you will, then I'm going to put on some water weight from that. And that's going to be okay, but I'm just not ready to deal with that yet, right? So I haven't stepped on the scale this week, but I'm guessing I'm probably going to put on 5 pounds from that. So I was about 220 when we started this. It'll probably be 225 when I step on it early next week. And then I'm going to start weighing myself daily to track that stuff. Now, in terms of working out, last week was hard. Getting out there every single day was a real challenge. I work out 5 days a week. It doesn't take that long. And honestly, once I'm in the gym, I totally forget about the fact that I didn't want to do it. But coming home from work, picking Olivia up, getting here, starting dinner, whatever the case may be, by the time I'm ready to go into the gym, even though it's at my house, I just don't feel like doing it. And I never thought I'd be the person who didn't want to go work out because, I built that habit. It was something I've been doing for so long. But in all honesty, convincing myself to do it has been the hardest part. And there have been days where Olivia's had to talk me into it. There have been days where I've had to talk her into it, but we did make it happen, and that is what's important. It was a little bit disappointing to try to kind of start at such low numbers. So being a chest day, I'll put a clip on right now. Guys, I'm doing maybe 80% of what I was. That's a little bit disappointing to me. And realistically, it's probably closer to 70%. I'm not really trying to push myself too hard. I tried that last week, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was kind of sore, facing a little bit of injury because I wasn't willing to accept that I had lost strength. And that's just me being stubborn. So realistically, I'm going to try to cut all my weights down to about 75% of what I was doing prior to the pandemic and start there. If I can work there, not hurt myself, I know I'll be able to work up quickly, but I'm impatient. I want to be as good as I once was. And it's hard for me to accept that that's just not reality right now. So as you guys can see in some of these clips, the weights are light, and that's upsetting, at least light for me. I know that's not true for everybody, so I shouldn't, generalize and say that's lightweight. But for me, that's not a lot of weight. But what I am focusing on here is getting my form back, getting the technique back, my breathing, the mental cues that I give myself when I'm, lifting. And if you guys want me to do like full workout videos and talk about, hey, here's what I'm doing here, here's the form for this exercise, I do not claim to be the best at anything. I just enjoy powerlifting, trained at a powerlifting facility for years, and picked up on a few things along the way. I may even have one of my friends who's actually a champion powerlifter come on over one of these days and help me out with some things if I can't get it back kind of the way that it was. But a lot of these clips that I'm going to put on the screen here, or I have been putting on the screen, are me just watching for my form. They're filmed for me so that I can see that I'm doing it right or not. In any case, having to drop down from like my bench repping out 240, 250 to maybe doing 265, 270, or 165, 170 for reps, that's disappointing. That's disheartening. That's like a whole year's worth of gains just disappearing. And while I know that's not permanent, it is tough. Mentally and physically, I'm getting sore from it. I'm feeling exhausted from it. And that would have been a warm-up 5 months ago. So I know this is getting a bit rambly, and I apologize about that. But it just, I had to speak my mind. And I hope that it does help someone else out there who may be going through the same thing that I am, where it's like, you're trying to get back at it and feeling really down in the dumps about it. But just, bear with it. Trust me, it will get better. I can promise you it will get better. I know for myself, even only doing this for a couple weeks, I've been able to add a lot more weight onto those bars than I was when I first got back into the gym. And at that, realistically, it's going to come back quicker, right? When you're trying to build that strength initially, you might only get, 5 pounds every couple weeks. But I've been adding 10, 12, 15 pounds a week, something like that, depending on the lift. And that's not like normal strength gain. That is me having the strength and just getting used to the exercise again. So if you're in the same boat as me, I just encourage you guys just to stick through it. Just keep focusing on it no matter what. Get there every day. Even if you're trying to convince yourself not to, get to the gym. I guarantee you, once you're there and working out, you will totally forget that you didn't want to be there. You'll be having fun. And in a few weeks' time, maybe a few months' time, we'll all be right back where we were before this pandemic started. So with that, guys, I am gonna close today's video. I was gonna show you guys some of the things that I'm working on, but there was kind of some issues that have happened a few times now where I've mentioned that I'm gonna be working on something, then other channels out there, or people tell me that other channels out there released it like the same day I was going to, and I'm just like, that's a little weird, and I'm not gonna accuse anyone of anything, but it's just like, well, if this has happened a few times and you guys are telling me that other people are releasing these things that I previously say that I'm going to be working on and give you guys a day that I'm going to release it, it seems a little weird to me. So I kind of got to figure out what's going on there. I don't watch a lot of keto YouTube just because I don't have the time I used to, but we'll see if I'm going to resume that. But I think next week I am going to do like a full day of eating, show you guys what I eat throughout the day. And if I decide to and kind of get some positive feedback on the idea of it, I'm just going to continue to show you guys what I'm going to be working on for recipes anyway, but do expect a recipe to come out on Saturday or Sunday. So that, guys, I am going to go ahead and close the video. If you like this video, leave it a like. If you have any questions or comments for me, please leave them down in the comment section. If you guys have not subscribed yet, please do so. Really does help me out a lot. And with that, I will see you in the next one.